Discover how to reach your ideal clients with AI in today's episode with Elena Levi. Elena Levi is the mastermind behind AI products that saved millions and boosted annual recurring revenue by 250%, and powered unicorns long before AI was the buzzword it is today. So, Elena, please tell us how entrepreneurs can reach their ideal clients with AI.
AI Superwoman podcast with Lily Patrascu shares the world's most innovative AI tools and processes to go from technophobe to AI pro, attract leads, close sales, automate your business, enhance productivity, and deploy AI agents to do your work.
So thank you. Great question. So what we do in Voyantis is we help clients and companies understand who are their best clients, who will convert, who will bring them the most revenue, and target them already now instead of waiting what will happen to them in the future. So one of the biggest challenges in acquiring user is understanding who exactly will bring you value. And in many, many cases, the value is not immediate. So for example, if you know today exactly, if you have a product where during your first day, you know exactly what's the value of a client, then amazing, you can just target it easily. But in most cases, this is not the case. In most products, in most PLG companies, in many, many cases, the return on investment on a user comes much later during the funnel. It comes within weeks, within months. And when we target users and we understand who are the ideal users, we want to target user on their future performance. And this is where AI come to play. So what we do is during your acquisition phase, when you create your campaigns, we understand exactly for every user without using PII, for every user that comes to your product, we understand exactly what's going to be their future value. Will there be ROI positive for you? What they're going to bring you? And then you know exactly what's going to happen with your user acquisition. We can also do this during the life cycle. So basically what we do is for every user, we know exactly what will happen with them, and you can optimize accordingly based on that. So instead of running a campaign and then waiting to see what will happen with the users and what will happen with the performance and making decisions after 3, 4, 5 weeks or months, you can do this immediately and automatically, because we also take care of it behind the scenes and make sure that your campaigns are optimized based on what will happen with your users.
Thank you. So what kind of details will you find out during this process?
So we try to keep it very simple and very straightforward. The models are, of course, complicated, but for our purposes, we try to simplify it as possible. So we take a user and we don't care who they are, what's their actual name, what's their actual email. Everything is very privacy oriented and hashed. But we do know what they do in the product. So we look at their activity and we build a model based on, and then the model predicts what will happen to them. So we predict their revenue, how much money are they going to bring to our customers, or their willingness to convert. For example, if it's a subscription product, just predicting will they subscribe and for how long might be very, very useful. Or we can take it to lifecycle areas. Will this customer return? Will this customer churn? What will happen to them? And then you can make decisions on what will happen.
That's very fascinating. It sounds very futuristic. And how can small businesses use this information? Can they apply it themselves? And if yes, where do they need to go to kind of start this process?
So it depends. If we're talking about customers, a business can be small, but they can have lots of customers passing by. For example, you can have a small business that's an app, that's a gaming app, or it's just, I don't know, any app, any subscription utility app. But it can have thousands and 10,000s and millions of customers. So the size of a business doesn't really matter. The size of your clients and how many users pass through you does matter. What we do is we take this information, we take it from your internal BI, we connect to your data sources, and we build a model for you. So we're doing the prediction part, we're doing also the prescriptive part. So we're connecting to Meta, to Google, to other partners, and we help you optimize your campaigns based on that. So if you're small, medium, large, depending on the size, doesn't matter of your size, and you want to take a go at optimizing based on predictive analytics, you can, of course, come talk to Voyantis, talk to us, or you can try and do some things by yourself. In some cases, you don't necessarily need a third-party tool. In some cases, it depends on your data. It depends on when users convert. So, for example, you need to understand, it's really important to understand the life cycle of your users, the acquisition funnel, at what time period does the user make the important events that you optimize towards. And we also notice that it's very important to optimize based on the right down the funnel event. And today in the world of data, there's a lot of information that customers and have on their clients, and it's important to choose the right ones. So for example, if we're talking about a company or an app that provides a free trial, right? So we can optimize based on customers who did a free trial, who signed up for a free trial. And we can optimize on customers who already made a purchase. And we can optimize on customers who stayed with us for at least 6 months. But what we want to do is we want to make the decision as fast as possible based on information down the funnel as possible. And this is where predictive analytics come into play, because it's a balance between making a decision as fast as you can on every user, and it affects what you will serve them in a product and how you'll treat them and which ones to bring. And balancing this with making the best decision. So if I'll try to optimize based just on users who start my free trial, I won't get the most accurate users. If I'll try to optimize based on users who already paid and already stayed with me for 6 months at least, then I'm optimizing on exactly the right users, but it's too late. I might have had to wait 6 months to understand that these are the users for me. So what Voyantis does is we understand in ahead which users are going to be the ones that will stay with you for 6 months and will pay for you and will continue. And we give this indication very, very early in your funnel. So we give this indication within the few days. And this is where the magic happens. And then you can optimize and you can understand that these are your best users really early on and optimize towards them.
Thank you. What's the minimum amount of data that you need in order to make an accurate prediction about what a customer will do? I'm talking, do you need to have a minimum of, let's say, 10,000 users? And what kind of information do you need to have for each? You need to be already using some sort of system to track this data, right? Because you're not going to have, let's say, a business that is selling relatively haphazardly, become part of this, because it sounds like you need to have some data, some initial data that will help the AI predict what the customers will do in the future.
Yes, so it's a great question. So we need tens of thousands of users that interacted with your funnel, with your campaigns, with your product, and then we can build the model based on them. The good thing is that we look at a lot today. There's a lot of information that users do, because you can look at the interactions within a product. You can look at the frequency. If it's a product that you return to, then you can measure even the time between different intervals. So there's a lot of different variables that affect what will happen with the customer and will they become a quality one or not. And this is the cool thing about machine learning, is because if we try, and sometimes we don't necessarily know what's the right combination. Sometimes it sounds simple, like any analyst can look at the data and predict that if a customer added to a cart, then it increases their chances to buy the product, because adding to a cart is a step to buying a product. But what we can discover with AI is that in many cases, it's a much more accurate process of very different actions that aggregate to much, much better predictions of will the customer purchase or not. And sometimes it's trivial and sometimes it's far from trivial. But the idea is that there's so many things that are happening and a lot of data and also a lot of metadata. So again, the times, the behavior, the repetition, users that are similar to you, what happened to them. So lots and lots of information based on your behavior that we can use in order to understand what similar users that you already had in the past, how they behave. Based on that, decide what will happen to your users.
Thank you. Now, imagine that I'm setting up a book funnel, okay, where people will be buying the book for $27. And then from there, they are led to, upsell to kind of buy something else that's bigger, let's say $500. And then from there, I know something else that's $2,000 in the same sort of like sales letter. And let's say you have already the information of how many people from the initial, let's say, targeted people, how many of those end up buying the book, and from there, how many of those, what percentage are upselling to something else bigger, and then from there, how many of those will buy something else that's bigger. How can your process help optimize this specific thing?
So this is a wonderful example, because what you described is exactly how a smart analyst will analyze the results, right? They will aggregate it and they will look at the funnel and they will figure out where users usually drop, and they would look at a aggregated level. What we do is we allow a user level viewability. And for every user, the decision might be a little bit different. Maybe you decided to buy the book, the first book or the second book, because you really enjoyed the title, and you liked, how your first book behaved. And I decided to buy the book because I'm collecting green books and it was green. So the idea is that when we look at every user individually and their behavior individually, it's different, and there are many, many different parameters that will be used in order to predict what will happen. So what we do in Voyantis is we allow you to optimize towards the last book. So instead of waiting to see who bought the first book and then optimizing to the second and then optimizing to the third, the end goal, what you're trying to achieve, is you're trying to achieve purchases of your third book, right? Because this is the most expensive one and this is the goal. Maybe you're not even making money on the first book. Maybe the first book is just a way that you decided that works for you to bring people to the third book. So what we do is we take all the data of the users that already bought your book in the past, book your books, people that were interested. The model decides we build a model that will predict what will happen if you want to. I think down the funnel is the best. So we predict already from the first behavior, are you going to buy the third book? How much money are you going to buy? Or how many books you're going to buy? And then from the first days of the behavior, we can already give you a prediction. And then as a business owner, you can optimize towards that. So when a new customer goes into your product, and you know that they're going to buy the last book, you can behave differently to them. Maybe you can not show them the first book, or maybe you can already give them a coupon to the last book because you know that this is what's going to happen. Maybe you can not show them ads because you know that they have a good chance to buy the last book, so you don't want to distract them. Or maybe you know that they're going to buy the last book, so give them more of the third book, give them more expensive options because you know what they like, you know that they're going to convert, and you can change your behavior based on that. The really cool thing that we do with Voyantis is we don't only predict the future, we also change it. So because we also do prescriptive analytics, let's continue with the book example. So let's say that you're running a web campaign towards users who are going to buy the books. And we identify cohorts and campaigns or users that will buy the third book, and we optimize towards that. And we automatically feed the algorithms with this information. So the campaign learns to recognize the users that will buy your third book, optimize towards users that will buy your third book. And the end result is that the campaigns that were optimized based on this information will produce much, much better users, because you will have a much more, the percentage of users that will be a high-paying users will be much, much higher, and you will be able to treat them differently, because from the very early days, you will know exactly what's going to happen with every user. And you will be able to take any actions based on that. And this is besides the fact that your campaigns will already automatically optimized toward this metric.
Thank you. So tell me, what data do you need to feed it to actually get this kind of result? Because I think that when, let's say, someone buys my PDF online, let's say they bought a $27 PDF of a book, and then they, let's say, buy as well a $500 upsell, which is a course, an online course, and then they also buy from the same sales letter book funnel, they buy, let's say, another $2,000, I don't know, workshop online or something. And that's all the information that I have from this person. What kind of data do I need to know about this person and thousands of others to feed it to your system so I can get a predictive and prescriptive result for my business that will help me to get, target the right people, the right ideal clients for my business?
So first of all, it's important to note that we don't trade with magic. Like, there's no magic, and maybe there's not enough data. Like, in some cases, before we onboard a client, we first do an initial check to see if it's feasible, because just because AI becomes a buzzword, we can't do anything, and we want to make sure that we sell to the right people, that will bring value to the right people. So in some cases, there's not enough data. In some cases, especially if you already have been running for a while and you had this setup for a while and you have information, it might be quite enough. And think about it, that this user that purchased the $2,000 workshop, they had quite a lot of interactions with your product. Maybe they entered the site, they saw ads, they entered, they looked at the book, maybe they opened and closed, and they purchased the $27 book, maybe they gave you a review, maybe they came again and didn't purchase, maybe they purchased it for a second time. So there's a lot of information and a lot of things that are happening besides these three events. A lot of things are happening, and a lot of things, depending, maybe the time period between the purchase of the $27 book and the $500 PDF, maybe the time period between those two affects the most. Maybe it's the day of the week. So the really cool thing about the models is that it's not a one solution fits all, and it takes a lot of features into account, and many things can be a feature. The frequency and the time between can be a feature, and I put it in my cart and then I decided to take it out and then I put it again, or I came again and I only looked and then I came again and I did buy. Many things can be a feature, and also a lot of the metadata can be a feature. Maybe it's a certain geography that works better for you. Maybe like you'll discover that a certain something about the user population itself can be a good indicator. So it doesn't have to be the behavior, it can also be the information about the user. Maybe we'll discover behind the scenes that maybe you have a form or any additional information about the client, and we'll discover that a certain parameter, a certain city or a certain job title has a very good correlation with users who will buy your book. And the good thing about the model is that you don't have to guess all of this. We will just tell you, okay, this user, they're going to buy the $2,000 workshop. And we tell you this the moment they go into your site, so they before they even buy the $27 book. And and we do this without the PII. So in the past, when you had lots of cookies and lots of information, and we could have known exactly what everybody did online, that we could have hypothetically looked at other sites and other behavior. And that I already that I already buy workshops from product X. So maybe I will buy workshops from you. Today, this data is not available, and it's becoming less and less and less available. And I think it's a good thing because it's a very privacy oriented. We're going into privacy. I don't want every company to know everything about my web behavior. So I'm kind of, as a customer, I'm kind of happy with this privacy trend. As a data person, yes, I would love to know anything you did in any site in the world and all your intentions and all your information, but it's not available. So when it's available and we can use it without PII, great. When it's not available, and this is where the world is going, looking at your behavior, looking at the metadata, looking at all the information that we can gather really, really helps the model. And in many cases, it's enough. So the flow you described, we have clients that have very successful models running, and they had very great uplift in their return on investment with no more complicated funnels than that. And we are able to predict with accuracy what's going to happen with the users and which users are going to buy the $2,000 workshop and which users are going to buy the $27 book. Also, it's important to note that when we don't have enough data, then we don't give a prediction, and it's fine. So let's say that all you did as a user was open the website, saw the ad for the book, and closed. I can't give you a prediction based on that because you didn't do anything. The moment you will do some interactions and I will decide, and the model will decide that there's enough information, then a prediction will be generated. So again, it's AI, it's based on heavy data and machine learning. It's not magic. We don't really have a crystal ball, which is important to note because some customers want a crystal ball, but if you didn't do anything and I don't have any data on you, I don't know what's going to happen with you. If I do have some data and you did made some interactions are very predictive and I can tell you what's going to happen with you. And some interactions, maybe you did something very small and I just don't have sufficient information to make a decision. So I just won't make a decision. And it's fine because in the end, when we optimized on events and customers that are quality users, we need to identify, it's more important to identify the clients that are quality clients than the clients who are not going to be quality clients. So, because in order to optimize your performance marketing, what you need is you need to identify the clients that are good and are going to be good. And you're telling the networks, bring me more of those. And this is what's the important part. And not saying these users are not good, so like ignore them. More important to tell the networks which clients are the good ones so they can bring more of those.
Thank you. So which automations and which tools do you need to receive in order to get enough data? Is it that you need 6 months worth of data or 2 years worth of data? And if yes, which tools, which campaigns, where exactly should people get this information so that they feed this information to you so you can give so you can optimize the marketing process?
So the first question is what you optimize towards. Do you care about what's your return on investment overall, or do you care about only your 30 days? For example, if I want to build a model that predicts what will happen with the users in day 30, then several months might be enough to build a model. If you want me to tell you what will happen with the user 180 days after their first interaction, after their acquisition, then I will need much more data. because I will need at least 180 days, right? And at least several months where we have 180 days. So it depends how deep you go down the funnel. We have customers that we start with shorter prediction periods, and then as we gather more data, we continue down the funnel to predict longer and longer periods. In terms of what data do we need, so it depends. Again, depends on the customer. Usually we connect, we get information from the internal BI systems. In some cases, we get information from data collectors or third parties, like it can be AppsFlyer, it can be Amplitude, Mixpanel, it can be any place that you have your data. We sometimes connect to CRM data, Salesforce. Again, it really depends what information you have on your clients, where is it stored, and we connect in a way that you pass us the information. Of course, we don't take any personal identification. We hash what we have to hash, and then we can build a model.
Thank you. Tell us where entrepreneurs can find you.
We are Voyantis.ai. So you can find us on our site. You can contact me. You can contact many other people from the company. We always like to talk about data and AI and any other information.
Thank you.
Follow me for more AI productivity tools.